Welcome to my channel. For this video, my goal is to teach you how to build this multi-item filter sorting system that I have put a lot of R&D into. I'm just gonna get right into the tutorial if that's what you're here for. But if you want to learn the principles and components and the intuition behind it, I'd love to show you how it works. So stick around for that later. Something important to note is this is not the fastest thing in the world. If you're looking for an uber fast, uber slick redstone contraption, you're going to have better luck elsewhere. But I think this is a very intuitive approach into this whole situation. Like I said, I went through several iterations. This is my version 6.2, figuring this out. And I got it down to 4 minutes, 55 seconds to sort one stack. So again, that's pretty slow, but if you want a redstone contraption that you understand, or you're just looking to learn like the basics of how multi-item filters work, this is the one for you. When I say multi-item filter sorting system, what I mean is each one of these slices can filter out more than just one kind of item. Traditionally, you see item sorters that can sort out this slice for redstone torches, this slice for yellow wool, but with this configuration, you can sort multiple items into one slice. So your redstone torches and your redstone wool will both be sorted into this slice. We'll say your sticky pistons and cyan wool can go into this slice, for example. And that's what we're going to build today. The materials you need to build these, it's pretty easy. You don't really need all that much. This is the complete list of everything you need. We've got just under 2 stacks of building blocks. We got 49 redstone comparators. We got 36 chests. We have 36 redstone dust. These are powered rails, 27 of those. These are droppers. Make sure they're droppers, not dispensers. 24 blocks of those. 19 torches, 17 hoppers. You can see the rest. Special note about the copper bulbs. They can be any copper bulb you want. They can be waxed, they can be weathered, they can be not waxed, they can be not weathered. It really doesn't matter. So without further ado, let's get started. To start off, we're going to place down this redstone line here. This is our miscellaneous logic. So if there are any items that don't sort evenly or neatly into any of the slices that you have already set up, this will take the rest. This is your overflow. This is to make sure that your minecart doesn't just roll around and around forever. So to do that, place 3 blocks in this configuration, and then we're going to go across a total of 8 blocks. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Over here at the end, place a target block, and we're going to point our repeater into it on a total of 4 repeater delay ticks. And then we'll just run our redstone line across the top of this. Take a torch, put it there, and we're moving on to our next spot. From the back, we're going to leave a 2-block gap between these next rows here. And we're going to build another row of blocks back here, and then a 1-block gap with another row of blocks here. From here, we're going to zigzag and put another row of blocks this way, and another row of blocks up here. On this front row, place your redstone torches. We can go ahead and put another row on top of those, and more redstone torches on top of that. Next, grab your comparators. For these, we're going all the way back here, and we're going to place one in each of these lower zigzag blocks, all the way across like this. And then you're going to need your copper bulbs. Each slice is going to have 2 of these, so we will start by placing these here. And then your second one per slice will go on top of these comparators here. Next, take your redstone dust, put it all the way across these copper bulbs, and take more comparators and place them across behind these copper bulbs. These comparators will be pointing into our observers. So take your observers and place them across the back, looking into the comparators, and then take more building blocks and put them across the back of the observers. You'll notice that we have oak buttons in here. Take your oak buttons, bring them around back, and we are going to put them on these copper bulbs and light the copper bulbs. We want the copper bulbs to have a bit of a staggering system going on. So these ones are off, that one is on. When those ones are on, these ones are off. Just flipping the signal like that. Next, we're going to finish up the zigzags by placing more blocks across the back of these torches and then above these comparators. From there, what I want you to do is take your droppers and put them above these redstone lines like this. Direction does not matter, for the record. Don't worry about that. Next, we're taking our redstone lamps and those will go up here on top of the droppers. So once you have your redstone lamps in place, I want you to take more comparators and we're going to place them around back here and then around the front like this, and both sides should be pointing in to the dropper, just like that. Once you've got those in place, we're going to take our observers and we're going to put them across the back of the redstone lamps, like so. After that, leave a gap between this dropper and that observer. It doesn't really have to be there, but for the sake of the contraption, that's what I've got. Just so you can see which components are there and necessary, which ones aren't. You could probably just leave some temporary blocks in there and it would work just as well. But we're going to have lines of double droppers like this, all the way across, both of them pointing up. So let's go ahead and do that. And from there, I want you to grab your hoppers and we're going to put them into these droppers, like so. Next, take some target blocks and we're going to back the hoppers with the target blocks. And then we're going to sink down here and place another row of blocks behind these. We're going to do another zigzag like this. And then we're going to place some redstone dust all the way through. Don't miss any spots like I did. There you go. Next, take in another row of blocks across the top like this. And then another row of blocks across the top of these redstone lines. And then we're going to go get our slabs here. Put that out of the way for now. And these slabs are going to go on the top slab of this gap because we're going to be putting comparators on top like this. So make sure you've got your positioning correct for these slabs. And we will go back through and finish placing the comparators here. From there, let's grab our powered rails and we're going to grab our chests. Across the hoppers, we're going to place our powered rails. And then our chests are going to go across the top of the droppers. Double chests for maximum filtering. If you want to sort several more items into one slice, you're going to want these. And if you want me to tell you how the filter works, you'll also want to use these because I haven't tried it with anything smaller. While we have our chests and hoppers, we're going to come back around to the front here and we're going to put our chests out front like this, and we're going to have our hoppers going into them like that. So right above the torch, right up next to the comparators. And we can put some double chests here, and we'll go ahead and do that all the way across the row. And we'll have one more on the end here for our miscellaneous slice. So your whole contraption should look like this at this point. Now let's grab our blocks again, and we're going to carry this miscellaneous slice signal all the way up here with a redstone torch, and another block. And just like that, the miscellaneous slice is done. Around this side, we're going to extend this minecart rail a little farther out so that we can get a good corner on there. And we're going to place more rails across the top of these hoppers. And then we're going to come back around here and we'll place them across that. And then we'll just take some normal rails and place them in these corners. Around this side, it's going to be similar, but the corner is going to be right up against the hopper there. We're not going to have any buffer here on the end. And it's going to turn immediately and go up. Where we will then have our detector rail. We can then close this loop out with a couple more blocks, another powered rail there, another corner rail here, and one more powered rail. We do want to power the rails, so let's take some redstone blocks and we'll go ahead and just place them in the corners so that the power can reach all the way to the ends. And then we can use levers or whatever you have on hand to power these last two. Finally, we're going to add some logic to check the minecart to see if it has an item in it that needs to be sorted. So that's going to come right here, and that's where the detector rail comes in handy. At this point, you should have one more comparator left, one more redstone torch, one more target block, and your sticky piston. So build out 3 blocks here, and we're going to put our comparator right there. Place your dust behind it, place your target block next to the dust, and we'll put a torch on top of that. Your sticky piston will go here in the torch. It'll be powered by default, and then place your block in front of it. That will catch the minecart as it goes through. The comparator will check the level of strength that the minecart has, meaning how much it has inside it. And then if there is one item in there that is still being sorted, it will get this block out of the way and send it down the loop again to sort it. Finally, to finish this all out, go ahead and take your chest and place the last 2 here. Just like that, the redstone is finished, and now we have to configure this machine. You'll notice now that I've got 3 things in my hotbar. I've got a wooden shovel, I've got a renamed item to filter 1, and a renamed item to filter 2. You're going to need a bunch of these filter items and a bunch of these shovels. They don't have to be shovels, they just have to be any sort of non-stackable item. Going up here, these items will be going into these chests. These are your filters. And this hopper minecart, this is your picker-upper. This is your sorter. So you'll notice I have these signs here. One there, and that's to help show what goes in which component. So in the hopper minecart, we need 1 open slot here, and then 2 slots of 5, and 2 slots of 6. That's all we need for filter 2. So a total of 22. Leave that last slot open though, because that's going to pull an item from your input chest, and as soon as that item is in this hopper minecart, it'll unlock the system and it'll shoot through and sort your items out. If it's an item that you have not set up a filter for, it will simply go into your miscellaneous chest here on the end. Over here, for your actual filters, we're putting in a very specific combination of items because we need to put out a very specific redstone signal from our comparators. So across the top, I want you to put 3 non-stackable items. I want you to take filter 1, not the filter that you used in the minecart, put 5 across the top here. From there, go ahead and fill up the rest of the cart, fill up the rest of the chest, and leave no empty spaces. We can come back here later and put in whatever items you want. Then we're going to just go to the next chest. We're going to do the same thing across all of them, and I will see you at the end. Now that we've reached the end, your system is complete. You can now customize it however you'd like, and let me show you how to do that. So let's say in this first slot, we want all of our different oak variants. So we're going to take one of each item, and we are going to replace one button or one filter item with everything that you want sorted into this chest here. As you can see, you've got plenty of room here to fill up this chest with others. You could include your trapdoors, you can include your pressure plate, you can include an actual oak button, not a filter item. You could put in the spruce variants too. You can do whatever you want in these chests. The only word of caution that I have are stackables up to a different number, not 64, right? Because these are 64. Ender pearls, for example, only stack to 16. Be careful with those. There should be a way. Let's say you wanted to sort some signs. Those stack to 16. You should be able to take one of these and put it in there, but you would then have to remove however many filter items it takes to get the redstone signal output for this comparator in that slice back down to 2. Anyway, if you try it and it breaks, that's probably your issue. Go ahead and just troubleshoot that. Go back through and see if you have to remove any filters and leave blank spaces to find that equilibrium again. But when it's all said and done, this is it. You can set up your filters however you want, put whatever items in whatever slices, and you'll have yourself a item filter sorter system that can handle multiple items per filter, and it can burn through one stack of items in just under 5 minutes. Now let's get to the good stuff. If you are adventurous and you're wanting to learn redstone, or you consider yourself pretty redstone literate, and you just need some guidance on how to figure out these tricky problems, this next bit's for you. If you are already a redstone genius and you are inventing the biggest, the greatest storage systems, the quickest, the fastest, then you're not going to get so much out of this. This is me going through my thought process and my problem solving to figure out how to recreate what I'm seeing you build, you experts out there. So without further ado, let me take you back to version 1.0 and we can take a look at how that works. Here it is, my first iteration. This one's pretty cool. I'm proud of the journey that it started. It on its own is really not that impressive, other than the fact that I figured it out. This one is very slow. It takes about 24 minutes to sort one stack of items. It's very much the clunky 1980s computer versus, I don't know, the faster but still not an iPhone 1982 computer, we'll say. But here's how it works. Basically, the problem at hand is we have so many items and only so much storage space. We don't want to sort it all by hand. We want a machine to do it for us. How do we get a machine to know multiple items need to go into the exact same slice? So let me demonstrate how this works. Here we have our minecart hopper and we have our filter. The minecart hopper, we want to block out as much space as we need to so that only one slot is open, because there are multiple items being filtered by this chest here. So when the hopper minecart passes underneath this chest, it will pick out one item, and that's going to correspond with the item that we want to filter. So let's say we're filtering out cyan wool. Cyan wool will go into that first spot, and as it passes underneath, only the cyan wool can enter the hopper minecart. As you can see, that's the only item that got taken out. Other 2 wool are still there, and this has 2. So to keep the filter intact, we need to run this hopper minecart back around and put it back into this chest. So up here you can see I have my hopper minecart coming through on a first pass, and whatever item is in its first slot, it'll check for in these filters. So if it's a pink wool, it'll take out this pink wool, and then as it comes back around and does a second lap, this hopper will pick up the pink wool and it'll drop it back into the filter. From there, I have the hopper minecart running all the way back around because it still has that first original pink wool in the first slot of the hopper minecart. And it then has to come through and check and just drop the item off into the chest where it should be. Now that brings us to the next issue and the reason for all of this redstone. How do you know, or how does the hopper minecart know which hopper is the correct hopper to drop the item off in? Basically, what we need to do here is check to see, has something changed with this filter? We know it has. The pink wool was taken out, and so this comparator, because of the exact number of items that we have, should be giving out a signal strength of 2. But because exactly 1 item was taken out, the signal strength drops from 2 to 1. This observer passes the signal on through. There's a redstone torch on the other side that unlocks the hopper. And so as the minecart takes its second pass, only this hopper is unlocked. And so it will deposit one of its 2 pink wool back into this filter. And so that filter has been restored, but the other item filters, their status has not changed, because as soon as it picked up its pink wool in its first slot, none of the other item filters could put any of their items into the hopper minecart. So the filters have been restored. There is no danger of the hopper minecart losing any of its items in any of these other hoppers because they are locked and they were never unlocked. And then we can take it back around for our third and final pass. Over here, this is how I engineered the solution to our next redstone problem of how do you keep one specific hopper open until an item goes through it, at which point we need to lock it again so that we don't cause problems for the next item being sorted. And so for that, over here, this is that basic circuit that I came up with. This is not the circuit that ended up in the final design. This is not what we just built, but it's very similar. So for demonstration purposes, we're just going to use some purple wool. I'll take 2 of those. So this first gets unlocked when our filters up there gets restored. As you can see, it toggled, and this redstone torch is now off. That hopper is now open to receive an item, and when an item passes through, aka the minecart going across here on its third pass, then this comparator will pick that up, and it will trigger the same piston that putting the item back in the filter triggered, and it will reignite this redstone torch, blocking anything else from going in behind it. Like that. And so now, just like that, we have solved all of our redstone issues. And from here, it was just an optimization of how do we make it faster. So again, we have our hopper minecart with spaces blocked out so it can only pick up one specific item at a time, and that item is given to it by whatever we put into the system. The hopper minecart then travels on down the track, and it checks to see whatever filter has a matching item to what it's carrying, and then it has the filter item and its load. From there, we have to get that filter item back into the filter and then figure out which one of these slices needs to be unlocked to deliver the item in the correct space. And that's the intuition behind this. That's how I took an idea, a concept, and did some little redstone problem solving, puzzle building, and took it all the way through 6 iterations, each one getting progressively faster and faster. You can see kind of in between, I was figuring out how to be more efficient with specific problems, figuring out new ways. Right here is where I started measuring minecart load, and then here I was playing with maybe I just need 1 track. And this was the first moment where I started using droppers instead, where it's an instantaneous sort of a transfer from filter back up into filter instead of having to make several passes with a minecart like this iteration and the previous iterations we're using. So I iterated and I iterated, and I just figured out bit by bit more efficient ways, more effective ways to compress my redstone into a smaller area and be less resource intensive, all the way until we got this final version, version 6, which got, sub 5 sorting speeds for one stack of items, and then version 6.2 that includes a miscellaneous filter, which I should have been including all along. But that's the end of that. I hope it made sense, and I hope you have fun building this on your server, or your world, or wherever it is you play, or if you were just here to learn, I hope you learned. I hope my explanation was clear. I hope it made sense. But basically, this is just a case of figuring out clever redstone ways to solve problems and then iterating on them to get it down to a much more practical, usable version. That's all it takes. That's how you be a redstoner. Good luck.